Welcome to Super Happy Dragon Lucky. The show will begin momentarily.
Yeah. DRAKARIA. Yeah. Ooh. Yeah. Dragonchain, 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 Dragonchain. Mine 10 blocks on the blockchain. My ETH father for the got paid. These records selling like they hotcakes. We go to the moon like we don't got breaks. If you want to transact on a marketplace, Dragonchain, Dragonchain, Dragonchain. Dragonchain, 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 Dragonchain. Mine 10 blocks on the blockchain. My ETH father for the got paid. These records selling like they hotcakes. We going to the moon like we don't got breaks. If you want to transact on a marketplace, Dragonchain, Dragonchain, Dragonchain. My ETH costs more than your rent. I saw my life savings get a 10. Dragons get the hottest coming next. Me and Joe Rose make a bet. All this shit seem new to me. Mix a blockchain with security. Keeping data safe is the fluency. How could you not fuck with the company?
Hello, welcome to Super Happy Dragon Lucky, the Dragonchain Update Show. This is episode 11A, that is 0xfa, the 251st weekly episode with AMA. Reminder, nothing on the show is financial advice, and stay tuned after the updates for a quick AMA. In fact, I should also say I'm going to put the AMA before the DRAKARIA updates so that I can run long, whatever, and we can get through them quickly. So it'll be a quick AMA, but we'll get through them. First up on Dragonchain's weekly distribution for the lot governance NFTs for this show, Super Happy Dragon Lucky. Last week's episode created 342 lot. There was one question for 171 lot. There was no featured post. The host received 85 lot, and Dragonchain received 86 lot. Pretty cool. And now we go to Den.Social updates. Let's see here. I'll go over here. The May 2024 results are in, and the number one by lore committed was running with 28 unique voters and 1.4 million lore committed. Nominated by Alice in Wonderland in February of 2022. And the number one by unique voters was Connect Your Inner with 29 unique voters and 371,000 lore committed. Nominated by Dragonite XX in December of 2020. As a reminder, denizens can, sponsor a runner-up layer by paying a fee in matter. First runner-up 200, second 400, third runner-up 600, 800 for the fourth, and 1,000 matter for the fifth runner-up. Also, if any layer has at least 8 unique voters, you can also sponsor the creation of that layer for 2,500 matter. And you have, probably till I think the end of the week. I can't remember, but either way. Those can be created, but you have to reply in the announcement of the LCP to say you want to sponsor it, and it'll happen. And I think you have to tip it in there, maybe. But either way, just make sure. I can't remember the exact process, but that's what it is. Now we go to DenDAO updates. See the post in the DenDAO layer. Let's see here. I'm going to share this tab. So essentially, it is all in line now. So if you have any questions, comments, suggestions, or if you need to request that we actually have a meeting, do it in that post and we will set it up and or get answers to you or anything else. And that's the new format. It's on demand, direct meetings. Otherwise, everything's just answered in there. Next, World Blockchain Roundtable updates. In case you missed it, last week's episode was the topic, staying safe from scammers in a bull run. Really good show. Lots of good info, I think, especially for anybody wanting a refresher on security and making sure that you don't make mistakes and lose money or fall victim to scammers. So get in there and watch that if you can. The more views it gets the first week, the more lot all the participants will get. I do think it went pretty well. There was a really good set of questions and comments on the show. And today, airing in about 54 minutes from now, live episode 157 is Blockchain and the End of Aging. I might be acting more as a host in an interview format on this one because I don't know much about that science, but how it maybe meshes with blockchain would be interesting. So make sure you watch that. Make sure you share it to everything else. And let's see here. Drakaria updates after the AMA. So we're going to walk through the new updates to the white paper. A bunch of very important and really exciting, neat information to share there. So we will go straight to the AMA now. So while I refresh it, make sure that you like and share. And if you haven't subscribed already to the channel, please do. Okay, so this is Fleventy A's AMA. We have a few questions here. Oh, wait, what happened? Sorry. My machine's going a little nutty. Okay, first question from Oxans. Will there be a layer for Drakaria? It would be interesting if the project would make announcements through DIN. It would give a strong boost to DIN. Yes, and there is already a layer in DIN for Drakaria. However, it is private because it was held close to chest for a long time, and it will be made public, hopefully very soon. But essentially, right now, the plan is to make it public when the dragons are revealed. That is when after the first dragon hatches. And there's a chance we could do it before then. A lot of us would like to do it before then, but we would have to clean up because there are pictures posted in that layer of some of the test dragons, like say the renderings and stuff. So if you can keep, feel free, by the way, to to offer ideas around that. But the reason there is a layer, by the way, is because that is where all of the governance is, and all of the governance will be for the Drakaria project. So yes, I am. Question: DIN has a marketplace layer where people on DIN could buy and sell. I'm going to bring this over here so I'm not looking away. Could buy and sell items between denizens in a digital marketplace. They could even tip one another for payment using Matter, Lot, or Lore as a medium of exchange. Could this become an issue for DIN if it became a simulated Silk Road? Also, how long does it take to tip someone in DIN, and what's the delay for? Should I start a clearinghouse as a service business between denizens? Of course, user reputations can work well to build trust between parties. I love how smart contracts and free markets work together. Plus, DIN is like Consumer Reports and has the ability to quickly warn people of bad actors. I mean, that's really true. You could have, it could be an issue for sure. So you'd have to be very careful about how you did it. You'd want to make sure everything was legitimate, everything was reported as it should be. All the typical things. And it gets more complex when it's international, and it gets more complex when it is when there's any crypto involved, right? So, maybe there'd be some way to solve those issues in a very clean way, but you'd have to be very careful, right? And a clearinghouse, like say some form of a, I'm not blanking on the word I want here, but where you would, it's right on the tip of my tongue. You would act in between so that it's not the best thing because it's not purely decentralized. There would be, this trusted party and stuff. But there obviously are a few different possible solutions to that would be decentralized and that would be legitimate and that could avoid any legal issues. So it would be pretty cool. Yeah, there are definitely some possibilities there. And there are definitely some things you could set up as an outside business that could use DIN to help communications and governance and all the rest of that, right? Next, Lisa Mighty Davis, aka Litecoin Lisa, asks, Mom is trying to join Den.Social. She joined a while ago but cannot remember her username. She can reset her password, but not her username. Is there a hack to recall or send username to email? That's a good question. I don't think there's anything in the APIs or especially the interface to get an email reminder of your user ID. Maybe that should be there, but either way, you could reach out to support, and I can mark this for the gang, and they can look it up if they have her, which you don't want to put her email directly in there, but in this public post, but where if they had her email, they could at least send that username to that email manually if we have to. So next, also from Litecoin Lisa, will an inactive dragon expire or die at a certain block? Or does it matter if a dragon stays active or inactive? And okay, so this is a Drakaria question. See, the tags served me well because I was wondering, do you mean dragons? Do you mean so? I believe this. I'm not certain if this is an absolute, but that the primal dragons on Drakaria are immortal, right? So I don't think they would die ever. In a game, they could. Someone might create a game that uses the dragons in which they could die, and in that universe of that game, they would be forever dead. But that would be up to the individual games, and probably depending a lot on what lore becomes understood. But if and when there are born dragons, which would be a different class of dragons than the primal dragons, that is, dragons that were bred from sourced from the primal dragons, and then amongst each other, those could certainly die. And there has been, and this would be open game depending upon what comes out, but there are a few pretty interesting concepts that we've talked about that, depending upon how things develop, might end up making their way into open world or some other particular game, wherein a dragon could go inert, or it could potentially, I don't know what you would call it, but essentially become inactive, and you would have to somehow transport it to a certain place at a certain time and have when a certain event happens in order to reanimate it. So there is that concept, and it could be a really cool concept to see happen, to keep people doing things, to keep people active in the system. So that's as much as I probably can tell, and it's all it's all open, right? That's yet to be decided on a lot of that. So the hope is that, by the way, the governance of Drakaria will help define things like that, because essentially it's going to be very, very similar to, if anybody knows how DNDAO works, where we have 3 separate voting blocks, where founders and builders will be one, hatched and active primal dragons will be the second vote, and then the third vote will be born dragons, other types of characters that live on Drakaria with a genome and everything else, unicorns, elves, whatever. So those 3 votes would kind of decide stuff like this, and so it would be, I'd be more inclined to say it would be up to the community, and we have a lot of thought that has gone into it and has been documented already, so it's on its way. Last question. Yes, last question. Dragon Knight, what does the recent passing of Fit 21 mean for the SEC case against Dragonchain? And by the way, only the first 3 are supposed to be answered and credited, but I'm answering them all because these are all great questions. I don't know. And in fact, I need to look into why it's called Fit 21. I have no idea you know, what the naming comes from, but it could mean everything, right? And at first I thought that, okay, it passed the House, but not much hope for the other compromised gates that it would have to go through, the Senate and the executive branch. But I have heard that the executive branch made a statement that that it would not be vetoed if it passed the House. So I don't know what the likelihood of passing the Senate, where much evil still resides. That you know, I know Warren still has probably a lot of influence there, but who knows? Maybe all that changed because the crypto world is maybe finally coming together. You know, maybe finally coming together because Ethereum was attacked. I don't know. However that works, but there's a lot of evil there, and Deaton will win. Say it aloud multiple times. Retweet it when I do, please. We are going to manifest that into existence. I do believe it's going to happen. And when Deaton gets into the Senate, it's going to be a good day for crypto and for the world, frankly. So let's hope that happens soon. And that's all the AMA. Let me double check. I don't think we have any. We don't have any featured content, and I have to always say I reserve the right to revise and extend my remarks. And now we go to the Drakaria white paper, what you're all here for. This is what's this is gonna be fun. So this is already out. If you go to the pinned post on Drakaria World on X, and I'll show you that right here. This right here. You go to this pinned post. This link right here will take you to the white paper if you want to follow through with me. Otherwise, I hope this is big enough to read. You know what? It might not be. I'm going to see if I can't. Oh, see, I can't do anything anyway because it's a PDF. Maybe that makes it. No, it still doesn't. It keeps it resizing it. So I'll just read what I need to read for it, and hopefully you guys can all read it. But open up the white paper anyway, download it, share it with your friends, share it with your everybody you know. Okay, I'll try to go through this. Try not to ramble too much. There's a lot of information in here. It's densely packed. It's 42 pages, and the updates. I think I have notes here. I have 10 updates that I wanted to at least, or 10 major concepts. I wanted to make sure that you saw the updates. The first, in the vision section at the very beginning, and sorry for this annoying pop-ups that show up in the browser. Wish there was a better way for me to do this. So one thing, and this was my mistake because I was in a hurry and didn't really look into it. I had looked into the number of variations possible with this genome, and I got it wrong. In fact, in the white paper, I had put in, it was 4.2 billion, and that was based upon a 32-bit number, and it's really a 32-byte number. So the actual number of variations is over 115 quattuorvigintillion possible variations across 58 genes, which is the second update, that there is one new gene added. So it's a very interesting thing, and the actual number is this big number here times 10 to the 29 possible variations, right? It's a very large number. You know, if we reproduced, and I don't know the numbers, I should look this up, right? But if we were to spawn a new dragon, or if a new dragon were to hatch every millisecond, this would still take a very, very long time. I mean, none of us would be alive. The sun might be dead by then. I don't know. It'll never happen. There will never be every possible one, and that's why, you know, they're going to be radically, extremely unique. Okay, so 58 genes was the second. The next is, you know, table contents. I did update that. I think it wasn't updated properly before the last draft, and this is still draft. This still could change slightly. If anybody sees any issues, spelling errors, anything else, please do ping us, because it would be important to make the update before it is the final version, right? So first off, Genesis season was added. This used to be, will be added soon or coming soon or something in the last version. So essentially, you have to know the regular seasons. Very first spawning season will be Earth season, then water season, then air season, then fire season. And that is an age. 4 seasons is one age, and then it loops again, and it, Earth season again, right? And every season starts and ends based upon blockchain events and based upon the last season. So it's a very interesting setup. Well, given that that is there, the very first season is a special season because we have to kind of, initiate the system. And it's almost even, set up so that if everything goes totally wrong in that Genesis season, we'll be able to, kind of reset it with grace. And anybody who has a dragon at then will still have the dragon, and it'll have some special, unique things. Let's say the dragons come out with like hands that are, like big. I'm joking. Anything goes wrong, this is kind of here just as a, to get people in. We're testing the system out, making sure it all works. So the spawn fees for this season is 0. There will be no fees for all eggs spawned in Genesis season. However, those eggs will only be available to holders of gateway keys, right? The season supply of eggs is 59. 42 gateway keys will be awarded to trivia contest winners, and 1 each to the 17 DRAKARIA team founders. So there are 17, including, Dragonchain is one of them. And there are, some of them already announced at the end of the paper, and some of them we're holding back so that there's no, that we're not pushing it as hype. This is very much educational and technology related at this stage, and we want to keep it that way so everybody understands it before it goes crazy. So the daily spawn limit, there's no daily spawn limit. All 59 keys could come in and spawn 59 eggs very first day. Might happen. The account spawn limit, there is no account spawn limit. If you happen to win 2 keys because you're particularly good at the trivia, or you've really studied this document well enough, and you win 2 keys, you can get 2 keys, you can get 2 eggs. The season start is TBD, to be announced. We will announce it on DRAKARIA socials, and it is essentially, how do I say this? It is essentially going to be as soon as we can get it out. We have a few things left to do. We have, some of the art still remains to be finalized. They're adjusting. They're perfectionists, which is an amazing thing. And and we have a little bit left to do because we, as we announced, we are recently, we just decided that we're going to accept US dollars. We're going to accept dragons. So we have some payment stuff to do. We have some, fundamental things to do on the system before it can go out. When it's ready, it's going to go out. With most of the stuff has been really well tested. We might need to do some end-to-end tests, though. So as soon as possible, it will start. The season length and the end, it will go at least 10 days. So, if you were on vacation and we announced it and it, goes out, you have 10 days to use your gateway key. And there's more about that as well. The season will end when all available eggs are spawned, or a blockchain event occurs after the 10th day. That was already documented, so I won't go over that. Genesis season is the first season and the only season that will not have an element associated with it, which might be important for later gaming stuff. It'll be very rare to have, obviously, only 59 in this first season. This is basically what I've already said. The main point of this, provide an educational incentive for users to better understand the technology as the basis to communicate that knowledge to others in the future. So what we're really hoping is that all of you, or at least most of you, or at least some of you, will be willing to help communicate how things work in the future. So when the hype starts and when people start going, when people start going crazy, we'll have an army that can literally help people figure out what they need. If it's, it'll be helpful. It always is. The education side is often overlooked, but extremely important to projects. So as is culture, right? So that's Genesis season. Next, and this is a major update, and this is because of feedback, verbal and nonverbal feedback about some of the model. We had gone through several iterations to get to the model that was originally published in the draft white paper. And after that was out and we communicated with enough people, we realized that there was a need for some improvement. And so what we've done is come up with something that I think is probably superior for several reasons. And in some of the tests we've done with this, it feels very organic. And just so if you haven't caught upon this, because we haven't had a lot of questions about it, frankly, but the spawning season is modeled. It's an algorithmic model to essentially adjust the fee and the supply based upon what's going on the system. That is, so if more dragons or more eggs, I should say, are spawned in a given season, that will mean that more eggs will be available next season. If fewer are spawned, then considerably fewer will be available next season. So it essentially will shrink the supply based upon the demand, and the fee to spawn a new egg will likewise be affected directly by how many were spawned. So I'll get into the details here. So first, we'll look at the fee, which is very interesting. So if you have a season and with a set number of eggs and all of them spawn, so you had 100% engagement, all of the eggs are gone, right? When the next season starts, the fee will be 5 times higher than the fee was last season, right? And essentially, it's linear. So if half if half are spawned, then the fee will be maybe it's 2.5 x from the prior, but it is very directly linear. And essentially, you can see in this and that it's kind of hard to describe the algorithm here, but you have an incremental price where in this season, and I guess this is a big change from what it was before. There are no tiers. There is no day 1, day 2 difference in the fee. The entire season will be at the same fee, right? And in the very first season, it is a $25 fee, and that translated to crypto, depending on how you're paying, or euro even, right? But one way or another, that there will be a $25 fee for every dragon in that first season, right? And as you move forward, the more that sell, the higher the fee will be in the next season, if that makes sense. So if you think of it that way, that it's always I don't have to worry about if I came in on the 10th day, if there are still some eggs available, then it's going to be the same fee as it was for the first day, right? But the more of them that sell, the higher the fee will be the next season, right? The more of them that are spawned. It's similar with the supply, although the supply is an interesting little wrinkle that if a quarter or less of the eggs in a season are spawned, then the next season will have a supply of 2x however many were spawned. So let's say you have 1,000 eggs available and only 100 spawned. So the next season, instead of having 1,000 available, you are going to have 200 available. So you can see how it shrinks like crazy if it's a slow season, right? And you can see it's a 3x from 25 to 50. It's a 4x from 50 to 75, and it's a 5x if you sell at least 75%. If at least 75% of the eggs are spawned. I need to stop saying sell. It very much is based upon spawning. So, and you're doing it on your own. So it essentially, if all of them spawn, so they're all gone, then the next season is going to have 5 times more available. So essentially, it's able, even if you have a period of slow growth where maybe there's some world event going on and nobody's paying attention, it will shrink quite a bit. But then if you only, instead of having 1,000, you only have 100 or a couple of hundred, more of those, a higher percentage of those might spawn, and then you can increase again the number available. And there is no daily spawn limit. There is no account spawn limit. Season start is as it was before. We didn't change any of that. And it is basically based upon the last season close will define when it starts, and it's going to average around a 30-day period total for an entire season, which average 15 days for the spawning period, and an average 15 days of off season. But it's still Earth season, but there's no active spawning in the second half of it. So and on this, I should say, what else do we want to cover? One of the big intents for this season and the same, by the way, is that it's algorithmic to track, I guess, demand or interest, and it's also intended to give Drakaria a platform, and especially because later breeding dragons and later other types of characters will still fit into that calendar, and we'll still have these elemental mana, or whatever we want to call it, elemental energy that is applied from when they respond, when they were born, and what other things might happen related, with magical quantities, other things, who knows. But that calendar is there, and we do expect, obviously, given this algorithm, that at some point these eggs will become too expensive to spawn, that you won't want to spend however much money or crypto or whatever to spawn a new egg. It'll just be too expensive, and that is what will drive the supply cap, right? There is no supply cap. There could be situations where you could have a great number, and I say great number, in the thousands of dragons, of eggs, dragons that respond. But there are also very reasonable situations where you might have very few, so it'll kind of take care of itself, and that's the point. There will be rarity then on the primals, the primal dragons, and then anything that comes out of that will be more open and interesting. So anyway, that's regular seasons. Next, golden eggs. So if you remember, we were asked by one of the partners, who is not yet announced, that wanted to do some type of a giveaway sponsorship thing when this is running. And so we conceived of the golden egg, and it's a beautiful system that follows what Dragonchain has done for quite a while, which is the ability to do on-chain deterministic but provably unpredictable selection. So essentially, we've added some things to this, and based upon some interesting thoughts about what will happen at the end, I think we've solved a couple of things that not many people thought about yet. And that is, so every season, one of the spawned eggs is awarded, becomes the golden egg for that season, which means several things. They get an image. which is rarity for their egg and their dragon, that they were the golden egg. There might be some other things that come out of that as well that would be really interesting, but we haven't announced yet, not decided yet. But the main things, they will receive prizes from any participating sponsor for the season, right? And they will be eligible to spawn a free egg at 0 fee in a future spawning season. So that's one change, that it isn't just the next spawning season, that you can use that golden egg once, but it doesn't have to be the next season. Maybe you're out of town or something like that. You can use it anytime as long as you haven't used it before. The golden egg is going to be attached forever to that dragon. You can't separate it. You can't sell the golden egg. You can't do anything else unless you sell or later trade, whatever. You could export it and trade it, or you could give it to somebody, but it'll stick with that dragon forever, even after it's used. And key point, because I brought up the fact that it would be an interesting game at the end, but mostly played by whales, where whoever got the last golden egg when the fee was maybe a little bit too high, or for most normal people to be able to spawn a new egg, you can imagine that person could come in every season and get a free spawn, and if it's the only spawn, they'd always be selected. And it would turn into something where a whale could come in and challenge that and have a chance to get to then win that golden egg. But we went back and forth. It would be fun to watch, but at the same time, those people, they might not care, but they're free. So maybe that's not a very good thing. So what we did is, we think this is a great solution, that a golden egg will be selected in a season only if 2 or more eggs are spawned in a given season. So, potentially, if they were too expensive and no one's spawning them, you might get with someone who's wanting to spawn a new egg by paying, or who also has a golden egg, and make sure that you at least have 2 spawns, so one of you will get the golden egg. Anyway, we did that on purpose, and it's an interesting change. Might not matter that much, but we're trying to get all the details in there. The other is the golden egg sponsorship proposal and selection. So this is interesting, and it'll be a entirely different mechanic here, but that any person or org, company, whatever, can propose to sponsor next season's golden egg by detailing a prize offer. So say, hey, I'm going to give away a car. I'm going to give away something else, right? And the great thing about that is, then it's all transparent giveaway. It's a pretty great system for anybody to use. Essentially, we might get multiple proposals, and the DRAKARIA, the DRAKARIA DAO, in whatever form it is at the time, will get to decide which giveaway to accept, or which sponsorship to accept. And theoretically, we could accept multiple sponsorships. Someone might give away some cool art. Someone might give away, a normal person say, hey, I want to give away an egg or something. And yet there might be a corporate sponsor wanting to do something. And I think it would probably be reasonable to allow multiple sponsorships in a season. But we did also add the concept that the gateway keys for that season could be branded. So they could be rare, and people might purchase a gateway key just because of a particular sponsorship or the artwork involved with that sponsor or whatever else. That those gateway keys, and you'll see this, I think, in a bit here, that in the spawning items section, which is next, that the gateway keys can be purchased and used at a later date. And so, the gateway key is there for that reason, because you might want to, give it to your grandson or something else, right? Gift stuff, things like that. If you know somebody who is a, Dragon fan or something else, that would be pretty cool. And the fact that they are branded is going to be neat. I think that's probably all I need to say there. That process could become much more refined, of course. The selection of that, and maybe you would be able to bid a sponsorship on a future. They could get backlogged where you could say, okay, the next 4 seasons are taken up, but I'm going to put my prize offer in for the season after that. And but it'll be a competition one way or another, so it'll be amazing, right? Next, spawning items. So golden egg, the biggest change is that redeemable in a future season instead of just the next season. It won't expire until it's used, and it'll work whether or not the egg is already hatched. I think that was already in there. And then the gateway key that future free spawn in a future spawn season. These are not attached to an individual egg, so you could, they could be purchased for a gift or for a corporate giveaway. And the sponsor, probably it would make sense. And again, it's a proposal, and it might be accepted or not. But one of the key points of it would be if they say, okay, we want to sponsor, we want to give away this prize package, and we want to buy 10 gateway keys to give away to our community, right? So it becomes a good, an interesting thing there. Something that wasn't possible before. And that you could potentially buy them a gateway key. How do I say this? Even if spawning is closed for the season. Let's say you missed spawning season, it sold out too quickly or something, and you still wanted to come in and get one, you could buy a gateway key and spawn it in the next season or whatever. And if it's already closed, it's going to be at the price of the next season. I think that was the main thing. If you buy it during this season, it's this price. If you buy it during next season, it's whatever that fee is, and it's that's all deterministic and set. Okay, so that was spawning items. Minted spawned egg. Okay, this is an interesting one, and this just came up and we got it in here. What used to be called the spawn hash, which I had for a while, and I think others had even mentioned to me on the team. It's like, it's kind of I don't know if you'd say bland. It's an overly technical name, spawn hash. It kind of breaks the immersion, right, in the lore, right? So for people who are dragon people, you tell them, oh, that's your spawn hash. It's kind of so instead, what did we use? And I should have probably brought up a video over here, but charm of making. And you can look this up. It's an interesting thing in dragon lore. It is something that is it's like a spell or a prayer or something, but essentially it I don't know how it would be defined, so no offense anywhere, but it's essentially a thing that is said to bring the dragon, right, to create or bring the dragon here, right? And so essentially, instead of spawn hash, a minted dragon egg defines a charm of making, which is the conception event of a new dragon. And in the future, it'll probably be the same word or the same term used for new characters. But the charm of making is this initial, breath of life, right? It is the initial, thank you, Lisa. It is the initial thing that is set for your dragon, in this case, your egg, and it is the basis for that dragon's unique genome, right? Or it's the primary thing. And it still defines all, in the end, that charm of making will deterministically provide you the dragon type, the house, earth, water, fire, air. It will also give you the spawn element, which is the rarity and ranking, which, none of that changed, but it's the same thing that if you have, if I have a water dragon and a fire spawn element, that's the rarest water dragon you could have, right? And those are even ranked, but you can read that in the section below. We didn't change that. The dragon egg's density, which affects how soon it will hatch. The dragon hatching algorithm seed. That's how we decide when it hatches. We take the seed and we compare it to the next Ethereum block. And then the basis of the genome for the dragon. So once it hatches. And so all that's in there, but charm of making, remember that. That'll probably end up being a trivia question, I'm sure. Might even be a trivia question related to what was it called before, right? Let's see here. Charm of making. Okay, then genes. Let's go down to genes. Name didn't change. Okay, so genes are here. You can see there are 58 genes now. Sorry, that's pretty small for your screen. Sorry about that. But so the first gene is sex, female or male. It's only 1 bit. You only need 2 values there. The size is the size of the dragon, and this is the new gene. Essentially, what I did is I pulled 1 bit each from the primary zone mask, the primary color zone mask. Each of those were 8 bits, and those had just been expanded because we took up some extra space in the raw genome to do that. And I added this because, and it wasn't just me. It was quite a discussion around this, but we noticed that it wasn't there already, and we don't know for certain yet. We haven't heard back from the artists whether it will affect visibly or not the rendered dragon. I hope it will, but we'll find that out. And it ranges of a scale from 0.9 to 1, which is 90 to 100% scaling of the size of this dragon. And it's essentially 6 bits. So I think there's 128 possible values. And you know what? I'm going to see I'm going to show you the curve on this if I can find it. I'm going to pull it up here. Sorry, I should have thought to pull this up. Let's see here, genetics. Yes, here we go. I'm going to share this real quick just so you can see the, oh man, I wish I had them over here. Okay, you can see the curve. And I'm going to, sorry, I have to resize it so it won't be ridiculous. So essentially, you can see that the curve, male versus female dragons, that, a male will tend to be larger, but a female could easily be larger than a male, and vice versa. A male could be smaller than a female. Very realistic, very organic, very clean. And that was the gist of it. And I'm not going to go too far into it, but just think about what you could do with that if you were to later breed these dragons. I don't know if it's going to be possible, but the intent is to make it possible, at least fundamentally, that you could potentially breed a lap dragon, right, or a ginormous dragon, right? So anyway, that's there. That's amazing. And the last update is all the way down here. I want to go to the end and come back up. Wait for it to update. Look at this black screen. It's kind of ridiculous. Come on, Google. What are you doing? Man, is it really that? Okay, here we go. It's still updating. I'm like, maybe it's reading it all the way through. It has to scan it, right? It has to know what to advertise to me, maybe. I don't know. Anyway, here we go. So registration, extension of genomes, blockchain section. So read this. It's very short, frankly, very concise. It could be expanded in the future, but the point is, what is most unique about the blockchain aspects of Drakaria is the entropy, right? And when I say entropy, I perceived randomness, whether or not it's defined purely as randomness or not. That's what people, the term people understand. But entropy is, this degree, this measure of randomness in the world. And what we are doing with Drakaria is what I've called entropy capture, which is essentially that we bring in Ethereum blocks and place them as they come into the next Drakaria block. We bring in Bitcoin blocks and do the same. We bring in, we aren't doing this when we first launched, but we would expect that we will start bringing in real world data, which would be financial market data, weather data, earthquake data, things that are out there, ideally from, and this is the weird part. We say trusted source, of course, but or at least a lot of data that comes in, but it could be manipulated, right? And that could potentially affect the actual randomness in the Dracaria blocks. So what it would be is, in the cases of real world data where there's not an existing network measure, like Bitcoin has proof of work, Ethereum has proof of stake, and both of them have network effect. And it's very well known how much it would cost to try to manipulate any of that, any of the blocks. And yet, of course, weather data doesn't have something similar, and that can be fixed even. So if someone had something going on, they could potentially manipulate and only report certain things. But the great thing is that we would be in this design, we would be using, and this is a future thing, by the way, this one little problem that it needs to be solved, but that we would be using data from the other blockchains to decide when to bring in sets of new data from real world systems. So it would effectively make it still extremely unpredictable. And what we're doing then is just bringing in a tremendous amount of entropy from multiple chains. And by the way, multiple, beyond Bitcoin and Ethereum. I would definitely want to put in some other high hash power, some other high network value chains in here that would do similar. And, it might in the end even be something where you could bring in a chain that maybe doesn't have the same network effect, and it can be treated like real world data does, or is, so that we would be able to pull it in on the cadence decided by another chain, or even the Dracaria chain itself. So some of that's not solved, but this is a fundamental difference from the way that we have done things in the past with Dragonchain, and the way that we even originally envisioned the way Dracaria would work. That essentially originally as built, it was separately pulling in Ethereum blocks and Bitcoin blocks, stowing them, and then doing the various things. Whereas instead, what this is a foundation upon which games or systems that are built on Dracaria platform can pull that entropy in a very standard way, right? So that's a big deal, and that's never been done. Should be very interesting. You can look at the team, and that's it. That's all the updates. That didn't take me too long, so thanks for joining. I have 6 minutes until the next show, so I'm going to sign out. And thank you all for coming. Let me close out, though. We do have, let's see here. Make sure you go to Dragonchain.Store, buy some merch. There will be Dracaria merch in there shortly, I'm sure. We have to make sure we can split it up so the team can get credit for it and everything. But at least go buy a Den shirt or something right away. And also, if you are able, please do join us fighting for liberty. We're really close. We're either going to win, or it's going to get thrown out, or Congress is going to actually, they're starting to take action, and that would have a direct effect on this as well, I think. I'm no lawyer, thankfully. But you can donate with crypto. You can donate with, get rid of your dirty fiat and help us kill all the Satans, right? So that's it. And make sure you watch us, World Blockchain Roundtable, in about 6 minutes, less than 6 minutes. And I will see you over there. Thanks a bunch, guys. Bye.